All right, everyone, welcome to episode 106 of the Hideout. My name is Nick Frentera, and for those of you who don't know me, I am one of the founders and the CEO of the Satoshiverse and Apollo Entertainment. We've been running this spaces for, a little over coming up on 2 years now. So doing it every week. We're excited to have another awesome panel. I know we're still waiting for a couple speakers to trickle in and also going to have our guests trickling in. I know a lot of people watch the recorded version because we've got time zones all over the place. So figure we'll get started. For those of you who are not familiar with the spaces or the Satoshiverse, we're going to keep it pretty casual. We're going to have some questions where we're going to be talking about different topics in the Web3 gaming and Metaverse in general, crypto and NFT space. For those of you who don't know Satoshiverse, we've been building, about 4 years now, maybe a little more. Yeah, probably 5 years now. It started off as a comic book collaboration with the legendary Jose Delbo, who was a very well-known Marvel and DC comic artist turned crypto artist at the age of 87 and helped kind of pioneer the early comic movement in this space. That has evolved into a gaming universe where we tell the story of Satoshi as a superhero and you battle as a rebel in our Legions 2029 game, which is a fast-paced action roguelike. And you can check out the pinned tweet to the top of this space. That'll give you all the information you need to know. We do have some announcements coming up for that. We actually just ended our Season 1 leaderboard competition, but we still have our Season 1 Battle Pass live. So there's a bunch of cool free NFT prizes that you can earn by playing the game. The game's free to play, PC game. So I won't talk too much about it because we've got some other awesome guests here that I want to do introductions for, and I know we might have one more joining us soon. But if you're interested, check out the tweet pinned to the spaces at the top, and that'll give you all the information you need. So what we'll do now is we'll start introducing our guests. Just give a quick introduction of the project, what you guys are up to. I know we have some new guests, some returning guests. So just assume no one knows and give us the intro. Feel free to pin anything to the top of the spaces that you think is illustrative of what you guys are building. I love to see videos and different tweet threads that kind of contain all the information. We think that's a great way of sharing what you guys are doing. So feel free to post what you got going on up there. And then we will kick it to Spencer for some additional insights and get started. So why don't we start with Versus X? Welcome back to the spaces. Good to see you guys.
Hi, thanks for having us. My name's Dean. I've been working in traditional games industry for over 20 years, mainly as a game designer, lead designer. I've also started my own company previously as well, working on golf games and golf simulator software. We started Versus X about 3 years ago. We're building a skill gaming platform focused on PvP wagering, based around sort of high quality sports and racing games. And hopefully get a chance to give you a bit more information on it later. Cheers.
I love it. Well, definitely a huge fan of skill-based gaming and think that the intersection between that and blockchain is probably one of the biggest developments we're going to see in the Web3 gaming space. So excited to get your insights throughout the spaces. Let's jump over to Pirates of the R-Land. Welcome to the spaces.
Welcome. Good evening from my side on the GMT. Don't know where you guys are headed. So good morning, good afternoon. I am Greg. I'm the partnership manager with Pirates of Ireland. Professionally, I'm a risk analyst. I'm a gamer since a very young age. And I've been following up on the blockchain from very early adoption. I've been there when the Silk Road was introduced, when the Tor onion routing was beginning to hatch with Snowden and all. And right now I am vouching for the project that we are making. We have a strategy money management game, which is themed around pirates. The inspiration comes from Sid Meier's Pirates 84, on Commodore 64. So obviously this is a strategy. If you like the likes of maybe Stellaris, maybe Sid Meier's Pirates, if you played Command and Conquer strategies, anything that deals with semi-real-time strategy, you may be interested in that. And we are introducing smart contracts to leverage the use of assets within the game, to couple them with the game development on Unity. We have the second part of the game, which is a battle royale. We have already the game implemented in a beta stage. We have the servers up and running, so players can compete with each other. We are bridging the traditional gaming and alike the gaming which is based on smart contracts and assets, which is known as Web3 gaming. So we're doing our best to showcase it, to utilize every possible aspect of it for what it's meant to be. So thank you for having me, and let's get into the discussion.
I love it. Well, welcome to the Spaces. Definitely excited to learn about the game. Sounds awesome. Let's jump over. Actually, first, let's get Versus X back on stage. Let's jump over to NB from Nightly. Welcome to the Spaces. You may not have been here when I was talking before, so if you missed it, just give a quick introduction of the project. Let us know what you guys are building. Feel free to pin anything to the top of the Spaces that you think would be relevant. But yeah, welcome to the Spaces.
Yeah, sure. I had like small connection issues, but yeah, I'm back. So I'm NB from Nightly. I'm leading a cross-chain wallet called Nightly. I think we're the most popular wallet across Move ecosystem right now, and aiming to be the most popular wallet overall. We focus on user experience, but also accessibility to wide range of blockchains. So usually if there is a blockchain that is just launching or just around the corner, usually we are supporting them. Pleasure to be here.
Amazing. Well, we always need, more user-friendly wallet solutions. And I think that's something that, as we talk about mass onboarding, we can definitely dive in deeper. So definitely excited to have you on and hear your insights. Let's kick it over to Spencer to get us started.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Spencer. I'm the business development manager here with Satoshiverse and Apollo Entertainment. Excited to be here today for the space. I'm going to be asking all the questions and kind of just keeping the discussion flowing. I'm going to first pin a tweet to the top of the space. All right. So the tweet that I just pinned at the top of the space, that says we're live. We're using that for our giveaway that we do every week. So this week we're giving away 5 Satoshi's crystals, which is one of the main in-game resources within, Satoshiverse and Legions 2029. So yeah, definitely, really important resource to have. So something you want to have if you're playing the game. In order to win those 5 Satoshi's crystals, all you have to do is repost that tweet that I pinned to the top that says we're live, and then just stick around to the end of the space when we choose our winner. So good luck to everyone on that. So moving now into the format of the space. So we're going to start out with a group question. I'll call on someone to start, and then feel free to just jump into the conversation from there. No need to raise hands or anything like that. But then we'll get into some individual questions for each of you guys, and then if we still have some time at the end, then we'll do another group question. Without further ado, we can get into that first group question. And maybe Versus X, you can start us off with this one. So the question is, with the changing political climate around crypto, how might upcoming regulatory changes impact the Web3 industry, and how do you think both builders and users should prepare?
Yeah, a nice easy one to start. Yes, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, it feels like it's going to be opened wide out. I mean, I guess we have to wait and see, but yeah, the feeling is that it's going to radically transform things, and that's going to be potentially great for everyone in a lot of ways. Obviously, it does potentially remove some protections for people. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of giving a huge push to the crypto market in general. It's going to be absolutely massive. Yeah, I mean, it's a slight cop-out answer, but, I think we do need to wait and see what's going to happen. I would say that Trump, et cetera, is unpredictable. And as ever, the devil's in the detail. But yeah, I mean, I think we're expecting a crazy year. And I think the good should outweigh the bad by far. And yeah, it's an exciting time, isn't it? Let's be honest. But then I don't know, the stuff with the Trump coin and the Melania meme coins and stuff like that slightly worries me, because we have such a big credibility issue in Web3, and stuff like that. I don't know. I never feel like that does people a lot of favors. It's great for people if they make some money from it. But I do worry a bit, that I guess my my background is traditional game development. I've been around over 20 years. I've been, started my own companies. So I guess I come from a slightly more serious background. And one of my main desires for the Web3 is for us to become a lot more professional and therefore a lot more trustworthy and reliable. But yeah, I mean, overall, I do think it's going to be huge. And I don't know, all of us who've been investing in crypto for long enough, we always feel like if we say something, we jinx it and the opposite happens. But yeah, it just feels like this is such a huge moment, and that it's going to go on and be massive. And, I think certainly from the Versus X perspective, I think it's good for us. I think we were, we are in beta and close to launching. We are skilled gaming, which is legal in most places, as opposed to games of chance, which aren't. But we were looking at, having to geo-block the US, and I suspect, hopefully, we won't have to do that anymore, which will be incredible. That opens up one of the biggest markets. So, potentially that's huge for us. So yeah, right. I without wishing to repeat myself, I think overall it's going to be a net positive. I think it's going to be a crazy year myself. I think the bull run's going to go all year, and I think it's going to go really high. I'm just kind of curious and excited to see how it plays out.
I'm going to wait to go last on this one because I know my answer is going to be really long. So what do you guys think, Pirates or NB?
Yeah, I will
Go
give the
ahead.
voice to Dandy.
Okay, thanks. So I think that the hope was that Trump is going to kind of clear the sky for everything. But in the meanwhile, it looks like the people that are next to him or like advising him are really sketchy one, if that makes sense. Because let's be honest, the stuff with Trump coin, with Melania, and it's not the first time. Trump previously launched some like NFTs, some other bunch of shit that no one is particularly interested. So if this is kind of a regulation that we are going for, it doesn't sound like promising. I think that the framework in Europe is much more cleaner. So in Europe, pretty much, how to operate the stable coins, how to, register stable coins is pretty clear. For projects is also, cleaner. There is still a lot of question marks about how the decentralized stuff should work. Like, for example, if decentralized exchange should register or do something like that. But so far, Europe hasn't been inoffensive against I don't know, some newer projects or innovation, whereas SEC in US, actively tried to put everybody in jail. So looking at this, I think there's a hope, but last week basically kinda make my expectation a little bit lower. I think that the best that we right now can hope is that SEC will not be like, hey, this is illegal. It will be rather just give us some time and we'll figure it out if this is legal or illegal, if that makes sense.
Pirates, you
Well,
want to go next? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I feel like I should pick up on the subject. Right, guys. So with the Trump inauguration, we're all waiting, I guess, for Trump to sign an executive order allowing the functioning of DAOs within the existing sphere of assets that would be approved by the SEC, and that would be coupled with the issuance of real-world assets token for the exchange of securities. And the thing is that up until the point in which we had blockchain introduced, there wasn't really a talk about the ownership of assets by a community as a whole. This topic was not there because most of the financial institutions, they were just hedging for themselves and they were just single entities. They weren't comprised of a community. The least that it could be coupled with would be maybe something like Kickstarter, on which people would be just putting the funds together, or any kind of foundation, non-profit organizations that you funnel the money into. Still not real DAO. And the thing is that with Trump being established and with Elon Musk at the heat, we can expect that they can actually uptake this discussion and this can move forward. And we are looking forward to that as Pirates. We have a plan for the RWAs to be introduced in case an executive order would be signed for the allowance of DAOs as a security. And we would be doing just that. And I can tell you that, professionally, I'm aligned in the financial company dealing with real life money transfer. So I can tell you that I follow the regulatory schemes closely and how they change. And I can see the change in the perception. I can see the change of mechanisms that are introduced on the side of decentralized exchanges, the centralized exchanges, the wallets that are being introduced. And I can see that it has been adopted. And it has been adopted because of its visibility, because it's easier to control it. It's much harder, to make kind of schemes that would get you, away from your funds. The fact is that when you deal with SEC, with those orders, and for example, Elon not diverging that he had a $100 million stake in Twitter before he purchased it, they are chasing him around at the court for that. And the fact is that those existing financial institutions, they allow for the money to be retained with the people who are the owners of the money, and the SEC will protect them. They will protect the companies. They will not let those companies get bankrupt. Whether it can be any different with DAOs introduced, and whether this can change, the brokering of financial assets, and finally shift this away into the blockchain, into cryptocurrencies for better visibility, for better transparency. And just as now there are people who have just humongous stocks in crypto, in Wall Street, and they are managing those assets, they are seeing the potential in it. The rest of Wall Street is not seeing the potential because they already have mechanisms introduced, and they have been lobbying for those mechanisms for the past 30 years, right? And just adopting crypto is not as easy for them as it is for us to adopt it to our services, the services we are providing. Maybe game as a service, right? Or a community as a service in the game in order to develop the product, right? So the whole link of creating a product is changing. And the whole link to actually investing in a project, investing your funds is changing. So there are big things to come, and you should be on the lookout for it. And you should read in between the lines from what the government will divulge about the changes. So it's not only what you read in the papers. I suggest that you go directly to the government website and see what are their next steps and follow up on those steps, because they can be saying one thing, they will be doing another thing. So you got to look very closely to see how it will relate. And just like NB was saying, it's a good time. And with the original speaker Hideout, I think it was, the run may be coming for a year or longer. And, I also have the same kind of vision for it. And, this kind of forecasting, like you can match those things together on that. Thank you.
All right. No, all great responses. I think I agree with everything that was said. I want to give a kind of different perspective on this, just I guess as way of context for those of you who kind of don't know my background. I was a lawyer for 6 years before I dove down this rabbit hole and actually did help respond to a few of the early SEC subpoenas for the ICO boom when I was at a law firm way back yonder in 2017. But I now have also seen it from the perspective of a founder of a NFT based and crypto based project and a US company, right? So we've definitely kind of experienced both sides of the coin. I guess the caveats here before I start is that none of this is financial advice, and I'm often wrong. So don't necessarily believe everything I say. But for the last 2 years, it kind of felt like so back in 2017, the regulators had no idea what to do with crypto. They were issuing subpoenas basically to find out more about companies were doing. They were focusing on very particular use cases, particularly those that were using crypto to fund illicit activities and gambling platforms. I mean, that was like the surefire way to get an SEC subpoena was to either do a Silk Road type thing or to fund a gambling platform with crypto. Beyond that, I think we saw some of the kind of consumer protection angle start to take hold with some of these ICO rug pulls. But we largely saw a period of the SEC kind of trying to figure out what the heck it was going to do with crypto and particularly with the application of the Howey test, which definitely wasn't designed, with crypto in mind. For those of you who don't know, Howey is the Supreme Court case that essentially designates the rule for whether an asset or whether an investment contract has been issued, and in this case, whether the offering of a crypto asset is a security, right? So I think that a lot of the talk for the last, 3 or 4 years has been about Howey, has been about securities, and has been about the SEC. I think what we're seeing, regardless of whether Trump issues a bunch of executive orders, which I still do feel like he will eventually, to do some of the things that he's promised to do. I think that we're going to see a much more crypto knowledgeable regulatory base. So going from a regulatory base that was trying to catch up to one that is actively involved in the crypto industry and has, more positive positions. I don't think that means that we're going to see it deregulated. I actually think we're going to see more regulation. But the idea is that regulation will be clearer regulation and may start to move away from a securities approach and towards a consumer protection approach. That's my kind of personal view on where things should go. I don't think we should be having blanket rules that, prevent innovation in the US or US investors or US companies in the blockchain space. I think that's a huge mistake, and I think the new administration recognizes that. That said, I do think what we're going to see is, someone who is on the defense side of a lot of lawsuits, is that we're going to see a lot more enforcement type actions against bad actors. I think this space, partially because of the difficulty with anonymity, we've seen a huge lack of plaintiffs' lawsuits against bad actors who have either rug pulled or used crypto in a way to, to do things that don't help the space and hurt people, right? I think we are going to see an exponential increase in plaintiffs' lawsuits against crypto companies that are rug pulling, against influencers that are promoting projects with insider interests, against manipulation of meme coin launches. I think all that is fair game. And I think as an industry, we should applaud that. I think what we need to do on the other side of that is ensure that the regulations make it clear that the builders can continue to push crypto forward and to use the blockchain in innovative ways, and that being a US company doesn't put you at a disadvantage while doing that, and that foreign companies can offer these legitimate uses of blockchain to investors. And then I think there's going to be a gray area, right, in between, where we're kind of in this like experimentation phase. And, we're using crypto for DAOs or for fundraising or for these new vehicles that are not implicitly bad, but do carry a tremendous amount of risk on the investing side. And I think that there is where we're going to need really clear rules so that we don't prohibit it, but that consumers are protected in some way, right, from bad actors. And so I think, ideally, that's the direction this all goes. And honestly, during the bear market, once we saw the kind of short-term incentivization of rug pulls and scammy stuff kind of disappear, and the NFT boom ended, that's kind of the direction things were going. The vast majority of projects that stuck around were real builders building real solutions, and we saw what that created. I think, unfortunately, largely due to a few platforms and the meme coin boom, we've re-entered a meta where short-term, let's say, bad actors are able to profit tremendously and do so in an anonymous way. I do think that there is going to be a large push from the plaintiffs bar and from enforcement actions against that sort of manipulation and bad action that's happening, at least when it happens, in a transparent way, right? Where who's on the other side of it. And I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to go into projects, but we're seeing it, right? We're seeing lawsuits filed against major players in that meta. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the meta. In fact, you look at some meme coin launch models that have really pushed forward the idea of a fair launch, right? And have done so in a way that isn't manipulated. And we've seen some tremendous success. You look at like Pepe and some of these other bigger meme coins that have, galvanized a huge amount of support with communities. And I think that bucket of non-utility but community tokens, where you have real distribution and there's not kind of this centralized core that is pushing things forward, I think that those are going to be fine when it comes to Howie. And and they're not, I would imagine that they may not be considered securities. And I think that there will be kind of this continued momentum around that. I felt very strongly about that thesis up until about a week ago. And then, the new president of the United States, Donald Trump, releases a meme coin that had everything all the things that I would have screamed, this looks like a security, this fails Howie, this is not a fair launch. It kind of looked like that, right? The huge centralized supply being withheld, a lot of insiders, in the contract early, a lot of weird stuff happening, right? But the president of the United States, the country we're talking about, did this, the day before he got inaugurated. His wife did it. So I think that throws a curveball in my thesis that I'm still trying to figure out. But generally speaking, absent what I would call this anomaly that's going to create many, many more situations with other poorly advised celebrities who, may ultimately suffer consequences that Trump probably won't. I think we're going to see kind of this move towards two buckets, community truly distributed decentralized tokens that represent kind of a belief in a community that don't have a central point of failure and don't have a central point of success. I think that's the key for Howie, is that there's not this central point of success, right? Because all of these are investments. They're all, they all satisfy the money element. I think the key question is, are they an exception to Howie via, being a utility token, which most meme coins obviously say they're not? And then is there a kind of a central point of success or failure, right? And I think that part is where, some of these are going to get regulated away. And then some of them are going to survive. And I think we're going to move towards more sustainable, more protective models for doing this. And my hope is that that's what the SEC does, is it says, look, Howie's a rule. It's Supreme Court precedent. We can't get rid of this, right? This is the rule in the United States. Congress would have to, do something about that if we wanted. But here's the clarity that says which types of projects are this, which types of project aren't this. And I think, unfortunately, probably 50 to 70% of the meme coins that we've seen launched on platforms like Pump.Fun are going to be on the wrong side of that equation. But I think we're going to have clearer rules that dictate what you can and can't do. And we'll see if there's a lot of retroactive enforcement. I think what we're going to see is these bad actors, when they can be identified, there's going to be huge monetary, incentives for plaintiffs' law firms to go after them. And I think they will. I think we're going to see some of these celebrity meme coins get prosecuted. I think we're going to see a lot of that happen. That said, I think we are going into a bull market. Feels like it. Feels like, we're preparing as a project for that. We are creating infrastructure that we're super excited about to further some of these goals, which we're going to, be talking about more in the coming weeks. But our thesis is still, we are, as a U.S. company, going towards a better space for crypto. And yeah, sorry, that was a very long-winded. If anyone has strong thoughts about that, feel free to respond. But yeah, that's just my thought. I wanted to include this section because it's topical, and I know a lot of our community follows this space, and so that's where I stand on all this stuff that's going on right now. But builders are going to keep building, and my hope is that the regulatory climate will encourage that, at least in the United States and hopefully, in the world.
That was interesting. Cheers.
Nice. Well, it looks like if we don't have any responses, then we can move on to our individual questions here. And first one is going to go to NB. So given that the crypto wallet space is extremely competitive, what wallet features do you think are necessary to stand out? If you're speaking, you're on mute.
Anyone can hear NB? I see that he's unmuted, but I don't hear anything.
Yeah, I don't hear him either. NB, if you want, if you can't unmute, then maybe just jump out and then jump back in, and we'll get you back up here.
Cool. In that case, we will move on to our next individual question. We'll come back to you when we get you back up here. So next question is going to go to Dean. And so you were talking a bit about skill-based gaming before. So why is skill-based gaming the next big thing?
Cheers. Well, that's again, good question. Yeah, I guess I would point to a lot of the research that we're seeing coming through now. Gen Z and younger are wagering more than previous generations, which is interesting. I think maybe people wouldn't think that. And not only are they wagering more, they are turning against games of chance towards games of skill. They want to feel like they have some control over it, and that their skill, ability, knowledge, whatever, plays a part in it, rather than just watching a sports team or the win or lose it for you, or a casino game just randomly go your way. And that there's been a lot of research done that we've seen recently, and it's all pointing the same way. And so I think the market is growing and is clearly going to become a lot bigger. I think you then tie that in with the advances in the games, and the fact that we're now, whereas the original skill gaming has been around for a while, but it's still pretty small scale. The biggest skill gaming is in places like India and Brazil, and it's around like little sort of like dice games and stuff like that. And I think now we're starting to see high level games with skill elements, and projects using other people's games like, FC and COD, you name it. So that ties in again with people like Gen Z who essentially grew up gaming, as the research says. And then, we've also done a lot of research ourselves. And that shows, I think, around 40% of people have tried skill gaming, do it fairly regularly, wager quite large amounts, averaging over sort of $10 to $20 a time. And of the 60% of people who haven't tried it, 84% want to. So again, you've got this, I can't remember the exact number, but I think basically assuming, or just looking at over 18 gamers, there's a potential market of 2.5 billion people. And, a lot of those are Gen Z and younger. And this is, what they want, and that is growing. So I think that groundswell is all aligning. People are now starting to take the space seriously. So we're not just seeing, cheap apps, and, kind of rip off casino stuff. We're going to start to see quality games, which is where we're coming from with that kind of sports background. And then the infrastructure around it in terms of, what people are used to in terms of social aspects and leaderboards and all the rest of it. And then I think we'll start to see, new types of wagering coming through. I think what's been offered before is usually just PvP. So we have PvE stuff. We're looking at NFT wagering. We're looking at doing, free bet NFTs. So we're trying to grow, and create new stuff as well. So yeah, it feels like it's all there. And I think it might have been, apologies if I get it wrong, but I think was it maybe Satoshi who said himself that, apologies if that's not your real name, but, that it just aligns perfectly with Web3 and where we're at in terms of, having your own token and the infrastructure behind it, having something that can be, seen online and proven, and trustworthy and reliable is great. So yeah, to my mind, it's all coming together. I think there's a long way to go. I think there's still a lot of people that don't know about it. But I do believe, and my personal kind of take on backs it up. I bet on sports every so often, but I don't enjoy it. And if I lose, I tend to then not do it again for a while. Because I think I don't like that thing that it's outside of my control. But when we all, hook up at eSkills and play some PvP pool and chat on Discord, it's just great fun. There's a lot of banter. If you beat your mate and you get a little bit of money for it too, it just makes the whole experience so much more fun. And I think it doesn't quite have the negative connotations of people who go and bet on horse racing or go to the casino. I think that kind of side of it is quite negative in that you can, just basically lose all your money. I think what we tend to find with our games is, unless you're absolutely, hopeless, a lot of the gaming sort of evens out. So most people win some, they lose some. It's very hard to kind of get into that bad rut of getting addicted and losing lots of money and all that. So, but yeah, hopefully I've given a bit of an overview of where it's at, the fact that the market is growing rapidly. The technology is now there to support it. So I think it's now just about, getting the message out there and letting people try it. And that's what we're looking at with things like free bet NFTs, so people can try it for free. And then, yeah, just keep building it. And I think it's something versus X we're all very passionate about. And I think, yeah, there's a huge opportunity. So yeah, certainly if anyone's interested, check us out at versusx.io or play versus X on Twitter and yes, have a look at what we're doing.
Go ahead, Pirates.
Right. Well, yeah, I just wanted to say, that I had also been picking up on this subject, and I actually was in a Spaces a few days ago on which we were talking about the utilization of NFTs in gaming as it is. And the topics that came up is something that, keeps being reiterated, or just repeated. just like the prior speaker said, like skill-based issuance is one of the things to make it rewarding for other people to keep playing the game, to keep interacting with the community. Another one of those things may be the activity-based issuance of maybe NFTs, some assets in the game, in order to keep you rewarded. What has been going, for the past 10, 15 years, you've got those loot boxes introduced, you've got those predatory monetization techniques. It's like the people caught on the subject, some bad actors, and they had just been ruining the fun, to be honest. I mean, it's not fun to open a skin, to buy a loot box, like, okay, how many times you can show off, right? There are so many more ways to interact with community and to be rewarded for it as it is. And the fact is that it was up for to gamers, to do it for themselves, just selling off their accounts on marketplaces that are domestic. And I've been doing that myself in World of Warcraft, or selling some kind of game items. Diablo tried that. They didn't quite achieve what was wanted, right? Because they just lacked the versatility that we have here in blockchain. That's one of the reasons they failed. And those kind of things, like, they need to be talked about, like, it's no longer an option to just keep pushing the funds and funneling them into the business. You can distribute them amongst the communities in order for the members to be rewarded. Just like in Roblox, you have the community interacting with each other, just like you had the skins in Counter-Strike for the guns, and you could trade them, and you could also make some kind of profit from the time you invest. Like, this is the kind of thing that we are looking for. And it's sad to say that, originally multiplayer gaming was beginning to look like this when you had Clanbase, which was a website introduced for competitive gaming for Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, and many more FPS shooters. And the people were just raising the tournaments, raising the bar for themselves. And they were actually making the pots, the rewards were paid through PayPal. And they were competing against each other, and they didn't need any kind of entity to support them in doing that. Like, it was fun for them to compete with each other, to be best at something, to show off that, like, this kind of skill or the amount of time I put, to be best PvE farmer, it went to achieve something, and there are multiple such instances of games that were there. And, like, it got replaced with something that wasn't quite, like, as good, I think. And I still don't think, like, the topic is being picked up, and it's not only in the European Union, it's also in the United States. And those people are getting chased around, and they're getting fined for those loot boxes, because there's no chance that your kid is going to win this skin, like, you will waste $500, for what? Like, he didn't learn anything new. He didn't get any kind of other experience with another person. It's just, he was just pressing the button to pay the money. Is this what we wanted for the games? It's those kind of things that we should look for in introduction of smart contracts into the game assets that we are programming on. It's this kind of environment that we should be looking to create, right? And, like, Steam was good, it's going in the right direction with Tom Gable, with the service that they provided, for the community, for it being community oriented, for the forums, for the modders to be there, right? But still, it's just Steam, like, they are making the bang for the buck, from all of those services, mostly. And they don't give the tools for the players to reward themselves. The modding communities on Steam are highly underpaid, and they are doing a better job at improving the game than the original developer for most of the games. I mean, look at Skyrim, look at anything else that's running, on Unreal 5, and they are doing the skins, and you're applying the mods. Guys, like, it's obvious. It's just obvious, like, we can do something better. Why not just do it? And why not, start this kind of movement, which it is. Like, this is the way I see it, for the perception of gaming and smart contracts being introduced. It's just a superior product that can be integrated.
Yeah, I think that was, well put by both of you. I think there's, and Envy, I saw you turned off, or your mic mute symbol is off, but I don't know. I'm not hearing you again.
Yeah, I'm back. I
Oh,
should be
okay,
back.
cool. Yeah, sorry. No, I didn't know if you wanted to say something. But I guess kind of moving on from this topic, and just summing up, I think that what was said makes a ton of sense. I think there's a little bit of a, in my mind at least, a little bit of a difference between kind of the path that we're seeing with play to earn and the integration of smart contracts, at the core level, from an asset perspective in gaming. I think we've seen a lot of very bad models that are not sustainable emerge, over the last 3 years, and then we're starting to see more sustainable models emerge. I think one of the big opportunities there is UGC, and you're seeing a lot of user-generated content. You're seeing a lot of platforms really embrace that and build decentralized economic models around that. And I think even the AAAs are going to see an opportunity there. I don't know that we're going to see, these centralized Fortnite-like models disappear entirely because of Web3. I think there's still going to be a place for some of that, but I think that on the play to earn side, that's going to be a really interesting development. I think from the skill-based gaming side, the potential to have trustless settlement of some of these tournament prizes and things like that is like huge, right? You have huge championships where it takes months for the players to receive their rewards, but having trustless settlement methods with skill-based gaming opens up a ton of avenues and utility in the current system. It solves a huge problem from the top to the bottom, even smaller tournaments and little things like the message boards tournaments where a few people get together and they have a tournament and they pool prizes. I think one of the great things about skill-based gaming and the model around it is that it's sustainable. Usually the money in equals the money out, with some fee for the producer. So I think one of the biggest challenges right now is building sustainable business models around Web3, and we talk about that a lot on the spaces. I think skill-based gaming and the idea of these, wagering on yourself or on others through smart contracts is a pretty easy to design a sustainable model there. So I think it's going to be one of the ones that receives a lot of attention as we move into this gaming meta in the next year or so. So yeah, I guess I know we have some other questions to get to, so I'll pass it back to Spencer, and we can continue with the individual questions.
Awesome. So, NBA will give you a try again, assume that we're able to get you up here. So once again, your question is, given that the crypto wallet space is extremely competitive, what wallet features do you think are necessary to stand out?
Yeah, so thanks for the question. I think it really fits my expertise, if that makes sense. Yeah, so wallets kind of started to get a lot of competition after Solana launched, if that makes sense. So back in the days, there was MetaMask, and basically outside of MetaMask, there wasn't really anything. And once the Solana launched, it proved that, hey, there is more than EVM, and everybody will need to adapt. And I think right now, most popular wallets have to be cross-chain. There is no other way to be competitive in a space. So you need to support multiple blockchains. And key indicator for me personally that the wallet is growing is it adding newer blockchain and how fast he is adding the blockchains. So right now, recently, we've been adding, for example, Movement or Sonic or Mantis, Eclipse. There's a bunch of new networks. Some of them are still in the testnet phase. So as you guys can see, we're pushing like even before those networks are available for the public, because there's, for example, I don't know, incentivized testnet, or once, let's say, blockchain is already live, it's too late to get a user base there. So we are trying to be the first one and also the best one. And so far it's been working great for us. And we already have a bunch of networks that we don't even needed to reach out to them. They have seen what a kind of great job, at least I think we did a great job, for example, on Sui Aptos movement. And they reach out to us, hey, we're launching a network, and we would love to get you guys as a default wallet solution. just because we already have such a huge user base, and it's natural for users to breach tokens. I think this is what is happening more and more. So users are not onboarded via checks, but usually the native way to get to the blockchain is actually through a bridge, either from Ethereum, through Solana, or some other network. So I think this is like the most important part right now. But obviously there is a bunch of features, like for example, we enable you to see your DeFi positions in wallets. So if you, I don't know, put your, I don't know, Sol or some different tokens inside some IMM or so borrow lending, and you forget about it for like a year, Nightly will actually fund it for you, and you will be able to kind of see, oh, I have this amount of tokens in this protocol. So it's actually quite a nice feature. Uh, yeah, yeah. I think those are right now the two like most important parts. Obviously, we can be petty about some, small features, like do you have passkey login? Do you support like Google login? Can you do some special operation inside the wallet? But I think those are not as necessary as we think. I really think that users will not be able to manage like 15 different extensions for 15 different wallets, and having one simple way to keep everything organized and put together is really important in current like multiverse world.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Moving on just to our final individual question. I know we're running low on time here, but the next one is going to be to Greg at Pirates. So, how do you think the integration of blockchain technology can improve the MOBA gaming genre and really just kind of strategy games in general?
In the mobile gaming genre, right? Well, when it comes to introduction of smart contracts, you get the visibility of assets, and you get just the seamless transition of one asset between the other user. When it comes to collectibles, when it comes to achievements, when it comes to the skill-based issuance of certain rewards in the game reward distribution system can be basically centered around that. And this is the main difference between the traditional gaming and the one in which you utilize smart contracts. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, short and sweet. Appreciate your response there. So I think it is time, just about to announce a giveaway winner. I think we're still waiting on that though. So I'll pass it back to Nick briefly to kind of do some outros while we wait on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Every week it's awesome to jump on with really smart people, really smart builders in the space, and hear their perspectives. And this has been, I think, as a builder in the space, a lot of times your head is down. And this is kind of a weekly chance for us to come out of that bubble and hear what other people are doing. So thank you to the speakers again for another amazing space. Thank you to everyone who joined and listened to us live. I know that, sometimes we're taking an hour out of everybody's day. So we hope that this content continues to be useful to you guys. We've been doing it every week for about 2 years with the, holidays and stuff in between, but we're going to try to keep doing it. So if you were interested, if this was cool for you guys, keep coming back, keep supporting, keep tweeting, follow all the accounts of the speakers, check out the Hideout account. We usually have additional information throughout the week about our speakers and what they're building. So check it all out. We're continuing to push forward. What we'll do now is just, if you want to do a quick outro, let people know where to find you, that that would be awesome. And I guess from our part, we're Satoshi. We've been building for 4 years. If you don't know us, check out the Twitter, check out the pinned tweet to learn about Legions 2029, which is our blockchain-enabled game, free to play. And it looks like we are going to announce the winner this week, and the winner is, let's see, who are we going to have? We got it coming in. We're going to pick someone. I'm actually going to pick this week because I haven't heard anything. So I'm just going to do this based on cool PFPs. We're going to go with Matrox. I like your pirate. What's this? Like a pirate ape with an axe. Pretty sick. So you're going to be the winner this week. And that means just, shoot us a DM. We'll give you the information on how to claim your Satoshi's crystals. And we'll go from there. Congratulations. I guess if anyone wants to do a quick outro to let people know where to find you, actually, let's do it in this order. Let's start with Pirates, then go to Versus, and then go to Nightly. And then I'll wait a few seconds for the sound to catch up, and then I'll wrap up the spaces. Thank you, everyone.
Right. Guys, shout out to all the panelists. Shout out to the audience. Pirates are available on arland.com, so you may find us there. We got a revised version of the white paper. It's called a light paper now, so make sure you check on that. We had updated our strategy coming on into 2025, so there are updates for the second quarter already planned. So make sure you also check the changes that will be coming into the gaming ecosystem that we have. We are also there on Twitter. We have a Discord, so we invite you to join the communities. Thank you for having us.
Cheers. Yeah, likewise. Just thanks to everyone. Yeah, especially the host. I thought you did a great job. Really appreciate that. Fellow speakers were really interesting as ever. And everyone who listened, thanks for your time. And yeah, if you want to check us out, go over to versusx.io. We're going to be live very soon. So if you want to be one of the first people to have a go on our skill game wagering, we'd love to have you. And otherwise, play Versus X on Twitter. But yeah, cheers. Have a great day, everyone. See ya.
Nightly, you want to wrap us up? We might have lost your sound again if you're... All right. I think we might be having some technical difficulties there, but thank you, everybody. If you want to follow Nightly, obviously, check out their Twitter, and you'll get all the information there. But thank you to all the speakers, and we will wrap it up now. Thank you, everyone, so much.